Hi. Oh my God. I can't believe it. This is actually episode one of the Crazy Show with Catherine, and I can't believe it. I'm actually super excited finally to be here with you. I'm finally excited about it. I have been putting this off for a very long time. And guess what? Now is the time. So, cheers to the Crazy Show with Catherine. Okay, so first of all, you're probably wondering, who am I? Well, I'm Katherine Oster, and I am a certified facilitator, meaning I'm certifiably crazy. I'm a certified facilitator with access consciousness. And what is access consciousness? Well, it's this really crazy stuff. It's the weirdest, wackiest, oddest set of tools, I guess you could call them, they're tools, that you can use to change or create anything in your life. And I have been using these tools for the last 3.5 years to become even crazier, to have more fun, to change and create my life. And so, what is the Crazy Show with Catherine? Well, I am here so you don't feel like you're the only crazy person in the world. And I want to invite you to possibilities. I want to be a resource for you on how to be more fucking crazier. I'm sorry. I'll quit it with the crazy now, but I just love that. Because I really am crazy. Like, my husband will often say, "Oh my God, you just live in Kirby's dreamland." And I'm like, "Yeah, I do, actually." And he says that because he thinks I live in a fantasy, and maybe I do, but in Access, they say that your point of view creates your reality. And my point of view does create my reality. I'm sorry, that was going to be like something super profound, and it's not, but it kind of is. So, anyway, I'm Katherine Oster, and my whole life has been really interesting, actually. Um, like, I have always had this underlying, this way of being. Like, I'm always happy. Like, I just really want to be happy and joyful. And I am. And I am. And before I found the tools of access, I really wanted to make other people happy. Like, I knew that there was this possibility of happiness and joy available, and I knew it. Like, I was choosing it, I could have it, but the people around me weren't. And I started doing things to try to make them happy. Like, I actually never really got clear on what I desired in my life until the last couple of years, really, because I spent most of my time making other people happy. And I was never actually being me. I would jump into their world and be what they required me to be for them to be happy. And they would choose happiness sometimes. Like, I mean, I could make them smile and I could lighten up the mood a little bit, but then they would still go back to being unhappy and having problems. And it's like, no matter what I did, like, I actually drove myself crazy. Like, I got to the point where I was so not happy, like, so not happy. And I was really angry, actually. And I was tired all the time. And it was like, no matter what I had or what I did, I was never really happy. And then, after I started working in with Access and getting my bars ran, like, that is the most amazingest thing ever. Getting your bars ran. And if you don't know what that is, then check out accessbars.com. I think that's the website. are Google Access bars. It's 32 points on your head that when you run energy through them, they just like defrag your hard drive and you let go of all the crap you've been holding on to that's probably not even your crap. So until I actually got my bars read and started realizing what I was doing, like, who was I living my life for? And yeah, part of it was for me, but so much of it was for other people to be happy. And so they were comfortable. And then now that's changing. And I'm even like way crazier. Like I live in Catherine's dreamland, which is really awesome. So I wanted to create the Crazy Show with Katherine to become a resource for you. I'm gonna, I don't know, share some of my stories of my life and some of the weird stuff that's happened to me that has came up for me. And, you know, maybe you'll feel or show you that you're not the only crazy one. And I wonder if I can invite you to another possibility if you desire it. So I'm just going to be me on this crazy show. And yeah. So anyway, I've always had a magical life. Like I have always created things. And in Access Consciousness, like I actually started learning about asking and receiving. Like that's actually a thing. If you ask for what you want and what you desire, then the universe, it'll show up for you. Things will change for you. And I actually was doing that before I even started using the tools of Access Consciousness, and in like really weird ways. I will never forget, I love horses. I've always been drawn to them ever since I was born. Like for as long as I can remember, I've had this love of horses. And I remember I was like 15 years old and my dad took me and my friend to this horse show in Saskatoon. And so I live in like St. Walburg, Saskatchewan, like this small town in Saskatchewan. And we went to the city of Saskatoon, which is like a 3-hour drive or so. And we drove into this beautiful barn. Like it was huge. It had a huge indoor riding arena and it had like 4 barn wings off on either direction. And it had a beautiful outdoor track and an outdoor ring and it had trees around. It was amazing. Amazing. And I fell in love with this place and it's called Willow Ridge Stables. And I just remember my jaw dropped open. I was like, wow, 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 wow. And I couldn't believe that I was there with my horse, like little old me from small town Saskatchewan. And I was there for the weekend. And I remember clearly, I wondered what it would be like to have a horse there. I wondered what it would be like to work there. I wondered what it would be like to be at a place like that all the time. And that was, I think, the word, like I don't think I verbalized it to anybody, but I just remember being in awe, like, I wonder what this would be like. And so this is when I was like 15. And then when I graduated high school when I was 18. And I went to the University of Saskatchewan in Saskatoon to take my degree in agriculture at the university there. And I didn't have a horse with me and I was kind of feeling lost. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to phone Willow Ridge Stables and see if they offer riding lessons. And like, I didn't have a lot of extra money to pay for riding lessons, but I was just drawn to it. And I just needed a place. Like a country person living in the city is a bit overwhelming. And I knew that I needed that. And again, I had the pull of the horses. So I remember I phoned there and yes, there was riding lessons. Yes, I could come and take them. And so I started riding lessons once a week there. And the guy who was actually coaching the riding lessons there, I did have a few lessons with him in Lloydminster, another town close by, when I was a teenager, like 16, 17. And so I kind of knew him already. And I met Linda, the lady who owned it, and she had some horses that I could use. I started riding one of her horses in lessons. And then we got to be really good friends, like visiting and stuff. And I started riding her other horses. And then I think she actually started paying for my riding lessons, like in exchange for me riding her horses. And I was riding at the barn that I dreamed of, that I asked for. And it was like, wow. So I continued there for like 3 or 4 years while I was in university, riding there every week. And the extra time I would go and ride. And then when I graduated from university, there was a barn manager position open there. So I was the barn manager for a year. So I managed the whole barn for a whole year. And I had staff, hired staff for the winter, and like organized. I was the manager. It was a really amazing experience. And then while I was there, I also became a certified riding instructor with Equine Canada. And then I began teaching riding lessons. Like, wow. Wow. And just going back in this moment and acknowledging that I actually asked for that when I was 15. And I didn't actually, like, it's not that I didn't believe it was true, but I never forgot about it, but I just didn't give it another thought. Like, I didn't obsess about it. I didn't have a preconceived idea of how this was going to show up. I didn't actively pursue it. Like, it literally just, in a sense, happened. Like, I followed the energy. And in Access, that's what they talk about. Like, when you ask for something and you don't have a point of view about it, meaning you don't already have a predefined idea of what it's going to be like, then the quicker it will show up for you, what you ask for. And then I also married a magic man. My husband is also very magic. And with his family, he grain farms. Him and his brother grain farm right now. And they had cattle. So there was him and his brother and his dad. They had cattle and they farmed together and whatever. And there was this place in a town nearby called Turtleford. And he would go there every year with his dad to buy cows or to buy bulls or whatever. And he had a bale hauling business when he was a teenager, like growing up, and he custom hauled hay bales and straw bales for farmers off their fields and to their yard. And he hauled bales there for this couple who had a farm there. They raised purebred Simmentals and grain farmed, and Travis hauled bales for them. And he told me he clearly remembers thinking, man, I wonder what it would be like to have this place one day, like this farm, like how they had it set up. And he just really loved it. He's like, man, I wonder what it would be like to live here, to have a place like this place. I wonder what that would be like. So he was probably like, I don't know, maybe the same age as me, like 15 or 16. And sure enough, one day he was there hauling bales, and the old guy came out and was like, hey, would you be interested in buying this place? And this was so we moved there so this was probably in 2004 or 5, maybe 4 or 5. Would you be interested in buying this place? And Travis was like, his jaw dropped, and he was like, we would love to, but there's no way I can afford it. Like, they had, I don't know, like 17 quarters of land, which is like a lot of acres. 17 quarters of land, pasture. The whole home quarter had like a house and a shop and a barn and a Quonset, like lots of outbuildings. It was a pretty valuable property. Now, this was in the early 2000s, and grain farming wasn't a really profitable industry then. Like, it comes and goes, and that was a low point, I would say, for grain farming. And the cattle also weren't really that profitable. Like, we had just came out of a drought and BSE. And this couple really wanted to sell their farmland with the home quarter to somebody who would live there and look after it and farm it. And we had cows too, and we were getting into grain farming. And so we found out later that they actually offered their place to a lot of people, but a lot of people either just wanted the land, they didn't want the whole farm, and this couple didn't want their home site to get old and die, which is what happens to places like that when nobody lives in them. And so he asked Travis, hey, would you consider buying this? And Travis was like, yeah, but there's no way we can afford it. And they actually really made it work for us. Like they worked with us so we could afford it. And like, wow. Wow. And it was an amazing place. Like we don't live there anymore. We lived there for 10 years in 2016. And then we moved back to Travis's home farm where he grew up. But it was amazing. And he asked for something and received it like that. And he also didn't have a preconceived idea of how it was going to show up. He was just dreaming like, man, it would be so cool to have a place like this. And then it happened. So yeah, so those are just like some really cool stories that popped to mind. And then there was like little other magical incidences in my life. So I worked at a grocery store when I was a teenager, and they had a bakery and the grocery store. And I remember the lady who worked in the bakery would get to leave by like 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I had to stay working in the grocery store because I worked in the grocery store department, and I had to be there till the store closed at 6. And I was like, I remember clearly, again, these moments are really clear in my mind. I swear I remember the day and the time they happened almost. Clearly thinking, man, it would be so cool to work in the bakery. I would get to go home at like 3:30 or 4. I could ride my horses. Like, again, I think I even said, I wonder what that would be like. And then I went to university. And then when I applied for a summer job again, they were like, oh, Katherine, would you like to be in the bakery? And I was like, yeah. But then I realized that you have to be there at 7 a.m. to start baking the bread and stuff before the store opens, which is why she got to leave and go home early, because she was there earlier. I never considered that. But I got it. Like that was something that I asked for, and it happened. And then like I did this a lot with the place I worked at. And then I was like, kind of got bored there for that summer. The bakery was good, but I kind of didn't really I was tired. Like I had a half an hour drive to work. So I would have to get up at 6 a.m. to be at work for 7. And then I would often come home and have a nap. So then I was like, man, I wonder what it would be like to work over in the agro center, because the agro center is where like you deal with hardware and different things. And they had some cool people working over there. And I was like, man, I wonder what it'd be like to work there. So I applied for the summer job again the next summer, and they were like, yes, we'll hire you. And we have an opening in the agro center. Would you like to work there? I was like, sure. And so I was back to 9 to 6, and I got to work with the cool people, and it was actually really fun. I really liked it. And then I wondered what it would be like to work in the office, like doing the statements and the administration work and the cash ups and all of that stuff and billing. And like I've worked at this co-op in all the different departments since I was 16 until I was like 21. And then or even when I was the barn manager, like once I graduated university. And then anyway, so yes. So guess what happened the next year? I applied for a summer job, and they were like, oh, Katherine, would you like to help us out in the office? So that was another thing. Like I asked for it, and I was just like, I didn't actually care if I got that position or not. I was happy to go back to work at the hardware store, but they were like, would you like to work in the office? And I'm like, oh, sure. Because working in the office, I didn't have to deal with customers, and I could sit at my desk and I could have a slushie and I could be doing statements or entering whatever. So that was kind of cool and fun. I worked in the office and I answered the phone, and that was cool. And then I remember they hired an agronomist, and I didn't really know what that was back then. I knew she sold like crop supplies and seed and stuff. And she always seemed so important because all of these people were coming in and out. She had her very own office, the agronomist, she had her very own office. And all these people would always come in and talk to her. And she was like very important. And she was always on the phone. And I remember thinking, geez, I wonder what it would be like to be her, like to be an agronomist and to have an office of my own. And man, and there was actually a little bit of doubt because I didn't have the proper training that was required, but I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I put that out there. Finished my degree at the University of Saskatchewan, and I actually did a major in animal science and a minor in rangeland management. Like it really didn't have anything to do with crops. And then I worked a year as a barn manager at Willow Ridge Stables. And then I came back home, and I actually felt really lost because I didn't feel like, I mean, I had a university degree. I wasn't going to go back and work at the grocery store or the agro center as just a clerk, right? But I didn't really know what else to do. And so anyway, my mom and dad have their business. My mom and dad have American hunters that come up and hunt some deer in the forest. And so I worked with my parents for the month of November. And then I got a call from the Turtleford Co-op from the agronomist. And she was going to be going on a maternity leave. And she was wondering if I would be interested in filling her position. And I was like, yeah, like, wow. But first of all, I don't know anything about crops. Like, yeah, Travis, they were grain farming, but I was never really actively involved. Like, I didn't know anything about growing crop. I didn't take any crop science classes in university. And she was like, I don't care, I'll train you. I'm like, okay. So I started going in December, and I worked with her for 4 months to kind of learn the ropes. And I got to be the agronomist. I was that lady who then had her own office. I was very important. I had people coming to talk to me all the time about the crops, and I was crop scouting, and I was selling fertilizer and seed and chemical, and I was also buying it all and selling it. And like, I looked after the whole department, and it was amazing, and I loved it, and I did a really fucking good job at it. So that was the magic of my life. And all along, I have always been able to work horses in. Like, you know, in university, I took riding lessons and dressage and became an instructor. So when I got home, even when I was an agronomist, I was still teaching riding lessons on the weekend. When I had time, I would take outside training horses already. Like, I have done a lot of different things in my life, and I am actually a really busy person, and I really like to be busy. And if you like, I don't know, I could start telling you all the things that I do. So I'm Katherine Oster. I am a wife. I'm a mom of 2 children, Trace and Helena. Trace is 8 now, Helena's 5. I am a riding coach. I coach people in dressage and other stuff too. I mean, I've ridden Western and shown in different things. Like, I'm a riding coach. I'm a professional horse trainer, so I train horses. I keep 1 or 2 training horses a month, and plus ride my own. I am a part of our grain farming business now. We have Oster Farms Limited that we run with my brother-in-law and his wife. So for that, I do the financials, I do the bookkeeping, the budgets, the spreadsheets, all of that, pay the bills. I am the Chief Financial Officer of Oster Farms Limited. I also work at the Paradise Hill Ranch in Western Wear on Fridays because I really love retail. Like, I love going into that store for the day, working with people, ringing customers through, answering the phone. Like, that's actually really fun for me, but it's not something I want to do every day. Fridays is my Friday fun day. And I built a website for that store and an online store. So I maintain that, put up blog posts and emails and stuff. And I have my own business, which I'm starting, my Katherine Oster Certified Facilitator business. So I'm doing some online classes. I just started a coaching business, which I'll put the link with this video somewhere. I'm just launching it to start on June 1st, 2018. So if you're watching this video anytime before then, it's called Create with Katherine. And I would love to facilitate you in creating what you desire in your life and what's fun for you. So I've got that going on. Plus I offer sessions. Like, I offer bar sessions and bodywork sessions, and I host classes. Like, I host other facilitators for classes. This weekend, I'm hosting a Gal for a Bars class, and we're going to do it in the indoor riding arena with horses. Oh yeah, I've also created my own indoor riding arena. Oh my God, I'm so excited about that. That was an ask that I've had since I was like 15, and I saw that really beautiful one. And I'm like, oh my God, I want one of my own. And like, And then I was like, how the fuck am I going to create that? Really? And I remember I was sitting, so I started doing some research about my indoor riding arena when I was working. And I did some research, like how much it's going to cost me to build it. Like, so 250 grand or 300 grand, depending on how big you wanted it to be. And I mean, the one I built is 80 by 200. It's big and it's amazing. So then I talked to the bank and I'm like, hey, if I got this mortgage out, like what would a monthly payment be to service the loan? Like all of that information. And I did the math. I was making $30 an hour at my job as a salary. And like, that's not actually going to create enough money for me to pay for this indoor riding arena. Like, how am I going to do this? And so that's when I quit my job. That was a really good paying job. And I started going on my own and creating my own stuff. And now this is what I do. Like, I have so many things. And I have money that comes in from many different ways. So all those little businesses that I told you about, they all create and generate money for me. And yeah. So that's just a little bit about me. Oh, and then at harvest time, I also get to drive the grain cart tractor. So I spend about a month in the field, the four of us harvesting our crop for the year. And like, I've done a little bit of everything, and I still do a little bit of everything. Oh, there's my daughter, Helena. Yay. So yeah. So anyway, this is episode 1 of The Crazy Show with Katherine, and I just wanted to talk to you about me and how crazy I am and share with you a little bit about me. And if you, I'm going to put some information. If you enjoyed this show, I have like a weekly newsletter that I send it out in, and you can sign up. I'm going to put the link somewhere with this video. I don't know where. And if you didn't like it, well, cool. You don't have to watch it. You can push stop on your computer. So cheers to all of the crazies out there. Like, how crazy can you be? And how much fun can you have? And what else is possible beyond what you could ever imagine? Until next time, bye.
Bye.